Good morning. Happy Sunday. And today we're going off into space. We're going to see an angle of the Earth that has never been seen by man before. Something that's quite exciting. And, it shakes the realities of some of the untethered conspiracy theorists. I don't know if you've looked out at the moon this weekend, but the moon has been crazy the last 2 days. And it was, I think, Friday night. I'm looking out at the moon. And it's like how people could think we're on a flat Earth is beyond me. Like, how is that a reflection of the Earth on a glass dome? This is insane. That all being said, today we're unpacking an incredible human feat where SpaceX has put a manned mission, the first manned mission. And what's funny is they're calling it a human mission, and it's like, wait, what was before that? Monkeys? What? No, it's that correct. Astronauts are superhuman and we're just plebes. So this is the first plebe mission into space by SpaceX. Now,
it's really turning into for all mankind.
It's slowly but surely. So the first people to fly in space over the poles got this stunning view of the pole. And let's just kind of go over their mission. It was a 4-day mission. What's interesting, it was put together by a cryptocurrency investor, Sean Wang. Hey, chill, bud.
How old are you, Will?
Sorry, that caught me
StreamYard needs to fix that. So here he is. People have,
That's Wang.
That's Wang. Chung Wang. And, don't you wish you were a billionaire that could just casually pay SpaceX to take you out into space? So,
do you think he did it as a bit?
No, I think he wanted to go to space.
Not going to space. I'm sending a Wang to space. Do you think he did that as a bit?
I'm gonna go with that was his name.
No. I know that was his name, but there were probably a bunch of other people with names also qualified, and he was like, "No, I'm sending Wang."
Talking about Elon.
Yes,
sure, I could see that. Unfortunately, I can't run it past him. I could totally see that.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate reality.
I'm sure Wang is completely qualified. That's why he is up there.
Totally qualified.
Yeah, but he saw a list of names. He was like, "No, Wang in space. That's funny."
So the crew itself makes for again, it's this cryptocurrency investor that has just blown up. Imagine just like taking on this venture and now you're an ultra millionaire. You hit the lottery. So it was called a Dragon capsule. And on the flight with him is Janique Mickelson, Rabia Rogue, and Eric Phillips. And they, of course, flew out of Cape Canaveral, Florida. Just like simmer in this moment as they prepare to finally take off.
Closeout team and everyone at SpaceX, we wish you a great flight. Good luck.
Thank you, Obed. Thank you, team.
I don't think I want to hear good luck.
Break a leg.
Or that. I've done that.
SpaceX, stand by for side hatch close.
Just you're sitting in this. It's like,
where do you think their anxiety is at?
Your anxiety is like, don't think of Apollo. Don't think of Apollo. I'm not thinking of Apollo. Okay, I'm thinking of Apollo. And here it is, the launch.
Engines, there's ignition, and
it looks like a Wang.
Fram 2, the very first human mission.
You did it.
We got jokes, baby.
You did it.
Orbit.
Would you want? I'm sure there's a reason they go in the morning, but I don't know. I feel like if I'm looking straight up, knowing I have all that like TNT below me, like that ignition, and I can't even see straight. I'm like going up.
You're hoping there's not a single air gap. Like, man, everything better work.
You think they got AC in that thing?
No, we're all sweaty. We're sweaty, but it's worth it. For science. and that's it. We're down here like, good luck.
Seriously.
Tell us what the poles
we
look
as
like.
a human species just put people on dynamite and we're like, go up there.
Tell us what it's like.
It's only gotten smarter at doing it.
It's like the Wile E. Coyote, you just light the fuse and try to ride the explosion.
Yeah, really. Just like pioneers of like that area of expertise. We're like, we're going up. And us down here like, doing a podcast.
Doing it, but we're gonna talk about what you.
We're gonna
did.
talk about you doing that and kind of insane.
We rolled out and just came into the studio again. Back to that other video. It's like this moment. You're sitting there, and you are the one doing it. You're about to go, and you're like, "There's no turning back."
Not even just that. What if as a bit, one of the guys is up there, he's like, "Hey, I forgot to piss before we go, so we could stop halfway."
Oh no, that suit's got that taken care of.
Oh, I know.
Let it roll. Let it roll, Bob. We're Mr. Wang. We're out of here.
I mean, it's like closing the door. Elon pops. No funny business, Wang.
Bitcoin is going up, up, up.
Seriously, you mentioned a cryptocurrency guy. I was like, all right, is he like a legit cryptocurrency guy or bought like a Hawk Tua coin for like $3 million and got out at the right moment?
Oh, I'm sure it's a combination of all that. I'm the NFT king. Remember that stuff? I am the yacht monkey ape man.
I'm sending 4 people out there.
One of them's not Snoop Dogg. I'm shocked. All right, so they got
That's how I know. Not to cut you off. That's how I know they're taking it more serious than like NASA. Why was William Shatner in space?
Well, my
because he was the captain of the Enterprise, bro. He lived in space in the 60s and 70s, man.
Yeah, well, I play Snoop Dogg in Fortnite. I don't think I'm that qualified to be him. So I don't. What are we doing with this make believe?
All right, so they made it into space. And they were able to get quite an interesting view, and it's been a wonder that has taken the internet by storm.
Where is Florida?
Just imagine being up there.
Being weightless up there too would be cool.
It's just like being up there, but like you're being up there, and they're like, "Did you get any photos?" You just see like Godzilla come out of the ocean. They're just like, "It's right there. Turn the camera off." We didn't see it.
Cloverfield.
Yeah, we didn't see nothing. Sorry, we forgot to turn the camera off.
What a wonder.
Is that Florida?
Yes, it's America.
Oh,
Did you see it?
yeah, Key West.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing like the different variations in color of water.
I mean, you could very clearly see now printed Gulf of America. You see it?
Oh,
Oh, was I the only one that saw that?
Oh, and there's their launch pad. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they can see the launch pad. That's cool too.
That's they put a sign up. You put a sign up and make it like neon.
Dude, those
Right on the
clouds
ocean.
look crazy.
Right? The clouds look
This
incredible.
part of Gulf of America.
You can see the airplane, whatever, contrails.
I wish just like in the corner of the video they would say how many like kilometers up they are. No, like just like a little like that.
Yes.
Like just be like they're this high up.
It
and
said
this
that
is
in
what
the
it is.
article. Gurgit had.
Oh, I'm sure,
How far
yeah. But for like video feed.
up? 260 miles.
Damn.
Whoa. Could you imagine? So here's the big experience itself. Just 4 crew members now going over Antarctica.
Able to use the strip. Can you confirm when you opened the Ziploc bag, was the jar for the strips completely cleared?
This is a volcano.
Wow. So one of the things that I wanted to explore is why hasn't this been something we've experienced, right? Like we've supposedly had satellites and everything else orbiting the Earth for decades now. And you're telling me this is the first time a human being has gone across Antarctica with all the fishy tinfoil hat things of that shadow my purview of Antarctica. I sit here and I go, something doesn't seem right about that. So I wanted to know. So as curiosity has it, once you kind of peel it back, it becomes less this spooky conspiracy and more of just an interesting science. So this being the first private mission and allowing those to go across Antarctica, or really the two poles, one interesting thing I learned was it took about 40 to 46 minutes to get from one pole to the other. It was an hour and a half to go all the way around. So
insane,
right? An hour and a half to go all the way around the Earth. That's up from, like Doug said, the 260 miles or whatever it is up there.
Yeah.
Why can't we do flights like that? Just go, but nah, whatever. Anyway, so
you want to know why? Because we're already struggling with what's happening right now.
yeah. Well, hey, now we got these self-landing wings, and it'll work perfect. So the Fram mission achieved a polar orbit, meaning the spacecraft's path took it directly over the North and South poles at an inclination. Did I say? Yeah, inclination of about 90 degrees relative to the equator. So this is distinct from the more common low Earth orbits used by crewed missions, like those that are from the International Space Station, which typically have inclinations of around 51.6 degrees and don't pass over the poles. No prior crew mission had flown over this trajectory, largely because the polar orbits require significantly more fuel due to the lack of rotational boosts from Earth's spin compared to the equatorial launches. The mission's ability to achieve the orbit was a technical milestone, showcasing the advancements in private space capabilities. So, why hasn't this happened before? The question of why humans haven't seen Antarctica from space until now, given decades of satellite technology, hinges on the differences between crewed missions, satellite operations, and orbital mechanics. So, crewed missions rarely use polar orbits. So, most crewed space flights, like those of the International Space Station or earlier space shuttle missions, operate in low inclination orbits. But the polar orbits require launches with a southward or northward trajectory, which demands more powerful rockets and precise navigation. Historically, only uncrewed satellites or military missions use polar orbits due to these challenges and the lack of a compelling reason to send humans. And what better compelling reason than a rich kid with a computer? A wang. Satellites have covered Antarctica extensively, but we haven't had humans themselves to experience it. NASA has been doing this since the 60s. But again, what made this significant is this is guys with their iPhones. Historical context of the polar orbits. While NASA and the U.S. Air Force once considered polar launches for the space shuttle from Vandenberg Air Force Base, these plans were abandoned after the 1986 Challenger disaster shifted priorities away from such orbits. No crewed mission since this has attempted a polar trajectory until the Fram 2, this flight we're dealing with here, largely because the scientific and strategic benefits didn't justify the cost and risk of government programs. Private space flight, unburdened by bureaucratic constraints and fueled by personal wealth, e.g., Wang's funding, could prioritize novelty and exploration, making Fram 2's polar orbit feasible where government missions saw little need. There's also technological and economic barriers. Until recently, crewed space flight was dominated by state agencies, but now, because of all of this, private companies like SpaceX have only gained the capability of launching humans in the last decade. So we can only anticipate more of these to come. The cost of a polar orbit mission, while undisclosed from Fram 2, is likely in the tens to hundreds of millions, a barrier prohibited until private wealth and reusable rocket technology lowered that threshold. And finally, human presence versus machine observation. Satellites provide consistent, repeatable data, but lack the storytelling power of human explorers. Fram 2's videos, shared via platforms like X, captivated audiences because they were captured by people experiencing the view in real time, not by automated systems. This distinction explains why the mission was framed as the first space views of Antarctica, emphasizing human perception over machine imagery. So it's just a very cool experience for those that are here on the ground and for those that are up there. Man, my diatribe went long because this was a 5-minute video. But yeah, just seeing the folks having fun. It's interesting. But this was the orbit they took. Like, to me, that's crazy. How lucky, how few.
It's not even how lucky, how few, but it's how cool kind of is to seeing like what SpaceX is doing with like space flight, space travel, and space missions. That like, I mean, NASA for years has been not doing much of anything. I mean, think of how many like great space flights we've seen in our lifetime, like before SpaceX.
Well, especially now, it's all SpaceX. You're right.
It's all SpaceX. You know, like
if you look at our lifetime,
like for instance, you brought up the Challenger incident, and I'm thinking like we've never seen something like that, like a nationally televised, like kind of like people going up there and like a catastrophe of that nature. And I was thinking like, why? And I was like, well, yeah, we haven't seen many space flights in our lifetime.
well, dude, let's look at the ceiling of NASA.
Mhm.
You were saying we haven't really seen this much. They're really not televised. And no, you're right. We really don't see them. So when I finally, I don't want to show that one yet.
You guys remember
Go ahead.
like it was like 2020 and the first manned space launch happened using, I think it was either SpaceX or the Blue Origin, whatever one, and that was televised and a lot of people watched it because it was the first like private manned launch in history.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, we didn't have many that were televised, but we did have some. I was lucky when my family went to go on the Disney cruise. We were young. You docked near Cape Canaveral. We got to
cool.
see a launch. And like, again, why? The ceiling to really what I'm, again, projecting, because the Don goes on TV and goes, there's technologies we have that none of you know. I'm not doubting that. But from what we do know, it's seeming like the ceiling to NASA is a lot lower than it is to SpaceX in terms of technological capability. I don't know if that's due to funding, interest, who knows?
Bureaucracy.
Exactly.
I would put them. Funny enough, I'm kind of agree with Doug there. I put it near like bureaucracy.
I would imagine so. So I think it feels like it's been non-existent beyond our textbooks, because that's really the only way we've experienced it. And what I saw was a space shuttle. Think of like what that technology is. It's so old, rudimentary, even more expensive, even more exhausting. These huge, clunky things that require giant space, like, or giant tankers of gasoline or whatever, fuel, to launch them into space, where SpaceX's technology has expedited that. Little capsules. He makes it fun. We're throwing them out there on a Dragon.
Well, dude, the capsules is how we used to get people into space before the shuttles. Like that, the shuttles were supposed to be actually the first reusable, and they ended up not being as reusable as we thought. But like these new ones are actually all pretty much reusable, but like we're back to capsules. Like the shuttles used to be big, carry more things. That's why we went to them. Now we're kind of reverted back to this smaller capsule idea.
Oh, 1,000%.
Well, it's funny enough. I told you I went to the Natural History Museum in Cleveland a few weeks ago, and they had this event where you got to see things in space, but it wasn't as cool as this because it kind of like just turned into like a bunch of geometric shapes. But leading up to it, like funny enough, the trailer for it was more interesting, but like than our experience was. And NASA made a mention like they're trying to land like a lunar like base. Like that's like a plan they have.
A lunar base where?
Back on the moon. Lunar.
Okay. Land on the moon and create like a lunar base. And I guess that goes kind of hand in hand with what Doug said. Like, yeah, they could carry more things up there, but they're not as reusable. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they're making one big one to take all the stuff up there.
Well, that's
to like
that's SpaceX's was it just spaceship? Isn't that what it's called? Their big one that they're testing all the time. That's blown up a few times on them. Isn't that what they're testing? It's supposed to be a bigger sized one meant to like take people to the moon or whatnot.
probably.
You know what
I
I'm
mean, the
talking
dude
about.
wants to take us to Mars, so it's probably going to get even bigger.
Probably.
They're probably just going to launch Florida up there. It's
We're
going to be
gonna
that
have a
big.
double-decker space bus going up there, baby.
That'd be sick.
Oh, yeah. So closing out the topic here. Again, the views of Antarctica were incredible. Here is
Starship is the name of SpaceX. It's SpaceX Starship. That's their big one they're working on.
Sound brand.
Okay.
That sounds like space. It sounds like a spacey one.
Space Force. So here is one lap, which to me is just here's a time lapse of one lap around the Earth. Poles to poles. Starving, fat, cold. And we just went through everybody. So the beautiful thing of the whole experience is they made it home safely. 4-day trip.
Members about to splash down here in just a few seconds.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you are.
That thing's dropping so slow too.
Doug, how fast you want that thing coming in?
I don't, but I can't believe like that big ass thing is being dropped so gently, you know?
And they flow back up.
Just a meteor.
I think the last time something came in that fast, it killed off a bunch of dinosaurs.
Barely even
Welcome
a splash.
home from 2. We have confirmation of splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon has returned home with the From 2 crew.
Is it really a welcome home if you're not surrounded by dolphins trying to check you out? CGI.
Honestly,
dolphins.
that'd be a fun one. Oh,
Well,
they're CGI'd. Oh, that's kind of dumb.
That happened in the remember the folks stuck in space? That's how they made it home. They were welcomed by dolphins. Anyway,
I when I said I'm so dumb, your camera was in the way of like the pod, so I only saw the four parachutes, and I was just like, they flew them down. They gave each one individually a parachute, and I was like, you're an idiot. You're actually an idiot. You're an idiot. That was a dumb thought. I'm glad I didn't say it out loud. Well, I'm glad I did, like in retrospect, but like in the moment, I was like, they're all just floating down individually.
it's a Sunday morning.
It was cool seeing over Antarctica, not to cut you off, because you and I have had the tinfoil hat thing about it, right? We've always kind of like thought it. And I'm like, it would be funny if like the first time you go over, you're like, it's just one giant base. Or like, what is that? Why is that there?
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably bring up that elephant in the room.
Yeah. Get someone.
No one's allowed to be here, and there's a giant building here.
I'd love to know. Yeah. You see Rome. Rome never died.
They're literally, they zoom in it's Coliseum, people fighting. They're like, are we going to talk about this when we get back? Dude, we're live right now. You hit live. People are seeing this.
This is why they never make it home.
He's just like end stream.
End stream.
They didn't see it.
I mean, again, beautiful view, and what an experience. It's an exciting time to have people that get to do it for us, and then we get to, evaluate that source in a world where there's so much divisiveness in facts, truth, science. It's good that we get to be able to have the public experience this in a more real way. Wrapping up the segment here for us today in today's episode, we have, again, Janique Mickelson was one of the folks that were on the ship, or, the Dragon craft here, the pod, the capsule. And I thought this was the perfect clip to close out the episode. Check out the views of these northern lights.
That's crazy.
Absolutely insane.
That's awesome.
Yes, it really is. This is worth the price of admission.
And then to think these poor people then fly back home and just turn on Netflix to watch like Bob's Burgers or something.
You're looking at that?
Nothing compares now.
$100 million. Money well spent.
Yeah, honestly.
Multiple countries' GDP. Couldn't be happier. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, we appreciate you joining us. We go live every Sunday not live. We've got episodes for you. However, we're going to have a little hiatus the next 2 weeks. We're taking a 2-week break, but then we'll be back on it. We got episodes coming at you every week, but then Don't forget, we've got other shows across the different platforms. We have Doug and I and Will have our live show on the Rethink Tank. We also have the Rethink Tank podcast. So here's where I'm at, our shows and all these other shows. You can find it in one central place at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. So if you enjoyed waking up and starting your day, we appreciate it. We appreciate you joining us. And again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be sure to like and subscribe so we can catch you on the next one. But otherwise, guys, enjoy the beautiful day. Peace.